Hello and good morning. Right now, you can't see my face. You just see a slide. So I'm just going to pull the slide away and we're going to drop over to my face. Hi. Yes, so I'm Phil. I'm from Marketing Managed. Today, we're going to be looking at, well, what originally was going to be was outperforming, but actually, outperforming doesn't really tell us proper story. It's outmarketing your competition. So with that, we want to trying to look for gaps in your competitors' marketing so you can exploit those and get ahead of them in other areas where they might be already super strong in an area that you just can't compete with. I'm going to run it, like I said in the event invite. There will be a short presentation, and I mean short. The entirety of it is 8 slides, and I'm going to drop in and out. There will be some live workshopping as well. And if anybody wants to join in and somewhat disrupt what I've pre-planned and want theirs done instead, please do jump on and leave a comment, and we can dig into you. Okay, so first of all, let's bring the presentation up. Here we go. Right, so outmarketing your competitors in the UK manufacturing marketing. A little bit about who we are. Marketing Managed, we are a strategy, awareness, and demand management and generation focused agency. We work primarily with manufacturers that are either engineering or technology led. And then also we work with companies who supply into those companies. And then there's the other little bucket of just nice people who we like. Today, what we're going to cover is a quick introduction into what digital competitor analysis is, the key areas to analyze, tools that you can use for competitor analysis, simplifying some of the technical concepts. We have a case study to run through as well. What actionable steps you can take? Are there any ethical considerations to make as well? And then at the end, we'll have Q&A. We're not going to be doing these in a particular order. These will all be covered during the course of how we present this. So, an introduction to a digital competitor analysis. So, we've made the assumption, rightly or wrongly, that you already know what your unique selling point is, and that you know what your ideal customer persona is, and you've had those defined. If you haven't, that's not a problem, but it will help you when you're trying to build out your competitor analysis, because if you don't know what your unique selling point is compared to your competition, you don't know how to optimize your digital presence. So the definition of a digital competitor analysis is it involves a systematic way of evaluating your competitors' online strategies and tactics to uncover their strengths and weaknesses. Pretty simple, right? Why is it important? Well, if we can understand their shortcomings, we can capitalize on those and get ahead in those areas as well, which helps to build up your capabilities, capacity, and your presence. And when you're trying to move on to areas where there is a higher competition, you've already got that momentum from other areas, which helps to propel you forward. So next up, we've got the key areas to analyze. And these are pretty straightforward. Website performance, organic search engine optimization, social media presence, content strategy, paid advertising, and email marketing. These are all, with one exception, they're all organic methods. The one caveat on search engine optimization is that things are massively changing there. You don't just need to be considering search engine optimization, you need to be considering generative search optimization as well. So using things like ChatGPT, Perplexity to actually do the search for you. They need to be considered. And we're not going to be digging into that today. I'm not an expert on generative search. There are people out there that are, and at some point we'll bring somebody in to actually talk to you about that. So I'm going to drop out of this, and we're going to come back to my face. Hey, look, it's my face. I told you, short presentation. So we've done 5 out of the 8 slides already. Now we're going to move over to doing this in real time. So, screen share, a window. Right. So, what we've done is we've already done some of the prep work, because this actually takes quite a bit of time, and we've only got 45 minutes this morning. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the website performance of a company. So there are a number of tools out there that you can use, some paid, some free, some built into Google already. The one we're going to use today is we're going to use the Google Page Speed tool. So you can see quite a few tabs here today. So this is what was originally called Lighthouse. This has now been changed into Page Speed Insights. Another one that we will default to is a platform called GT Metrics, which gives you a ranking A to F, or A to G, and you want your site to come up as an A. What we'll do is we have a company who we are going to be using today. So we're going to Google search for it, because that will help us for another purpose later. Now, we're going to pop their website address in, and we're going to see how they perform. What we're also going to do is we're going to pop in one of their competitors, and we've picked on a competitor that is fairly similar. They have a number of crossovers. And we're going to bring up another version of PageSpeed. And we're going to set that to analyze. So those returned really, really quickly, which is a positive indicator in itself. So on mobile, they're performing incredibly well. On desktop, equally as well. And you can see that by the fact that they're all in green. Every single tick box is green. And when we come to the full performance stack, you've got 96 on performance, 96 on best practices, and 109 SEO. Accessibility for them is the only place that they fall down. So it could be that you could actually exploit that and get your site to be more accessible. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference, but it would. If somebody were browsing the 2 sites and it was if it was not Google browsing it and it was a real person, they're going to have a better time viewing that site than maybe the other side. You can see here, performance is only 46. It's a sluggish site. If we switch over to desktop, it's slightly better. 74, so is average. Accessibility is an area that could be improved upon. Best practices, ticking the same number there, 96, and SEO is slightly below. Okay, so that's the speed side of things. It also helps to highlight some of the user experience and helps to show off whether it's mobile responsive as well. You can see here that actually does render out in mobile view. It just doesn't perform particularly well in mobile. And when we look at their competitor site, go back up to the top, in mobile view, they don't perform quite as well, but they do still outperform the competition. It just means that it's a particularly heavy site, and accessibility on mobile is weak as well. So what we'll probably find here is if they were to turn off their video in the header, it would work a lot better on mobile. And you've got some particularly heavy pieces of content in there which are causing the site to drag. Now, all of that on its own is not going to have you competing and beating them, but it helps with the user experience. If the site loads quickly, it is well set up, well structured, and works on mobile, people can actually view it. stick my little face in the bottom corner. There you go. You can get to see me in the corner. So that's the website performance side of things. Now we're going to dig into the search engine optimization side of things. Now, there are loads of different tools that you could be using for search engine optimization. We've picked a couple of the obvious ones, but the reason we picked the obvious ones is because they work and they're clearly accessible. What we've picked out on here is we've picked out on the keyword gaps, which is what we want to know about, and we've also picked out on the backlink gaps. Now, these two areas are very beneficial to know where you have gaps. If you know that you've got gaps in certain places, it helps you bring a list up of what you should be focusing on to improve upon. And also you can see your competitors' gaps as well. If you can see their gaps, you can go into their gaps, fill those gaps up, and whenever somebody's looking for that, you come up above your competitor. So bring up the keyword one, and we're going to bring up the backlink one. We've also got a couple of other tools we're going to bring up. We're going to bring up one called Wappalizer, which also looks at tech stacks. It's not particularly relevant, but it is useful to know. It's more of a useful information to know. So when comparing the core company against the competitor, you can add in other competitors here. So this is SEMrush. There are paid versions of it. There are free versions of it. The free versions of it are very limited. We're only going to show off the free version so that it's something that you can actually access quickly and easily. So here we have, there's a keyword overlap. There are 32 shared keywords. Well, the origin company has 207 words that it's being found for on Google, somewhere in that top 100. The competitor has 437. And when we look down here at the top 10, the most important ones to the origin company are in this list: foldable electric bike, fold up electric bike, folding e-bike, folding e-space bike, foldable e-bike, electric folding bikes, foldable e-bikes. All of these are priority words for your core company, and they are being dominated here technically by their competitor. Now, if we go and look at the actual phrase that they want to be found for, did I save that? Folding electric bike. There we go. Saved it. So here we go. Electric folding bikes, one of their priority phrases. Now, they don't feature in the shopping part. They also are not featuring in this first page here. The competitor does. In fact, two of their competitors do. The main competition here, though, is from e-commerce. So there is a large amount of competition for this phrase. Manufacturers probably aren't going to make it through to the top here. I know this particular example is not going to be relevant to most people on this call, but it's a straightforward example to work with. So in this case, you've got the sponsored across the top, which is your Google Shopping. You've then got Google Search paid. Then you've got more Google Shopping. You've got the people or the FAQ part. You've got more Google Shopping. And we've got some more organic search. Now we go into people also buy, but as you can see, you're coming a long way down before you start seeing manufacturers come in here. So your primary, in this case, your primary competitor is actually e-commerce. And if you're a manufacturer, you want your reseller and distribution network to be performing well because they're the ones doing the work selling for you. So we're not going to worry too much about that right now. Anyway, we'll come back to it. So you can see, as you can see, their priority keywords, they're ranking way behind their competition. How can we fix this? Relevant content for a start, making sure the site is actually optimized for these phrases. All these little bits and pieces, these can be maximized on. Are they strong? Is there a strong part? Anyway, that's not going to work because it's a paid version. Is there anything that they could be doing better? Yes, probably. You could improve the keyword density on the page. You can improve the content. You could be actually producing content, and we'll come on to that in a second. We're going to switch over to the backlink gap, and here we go. Here's the sort of this. Here are the backlinks that are driving potential traffic and potential interest back from Google and Bing to the two sites. In one column, you have the primary. In the second column, you've got one of the competitors. So in the competitor, they've got links coming back from these high domain authority sites with huge amounts of monthly visitors, which is obviously a good thing. There is one phrase here where they've got where they're unique. Now you've got different filters that you can use up here. What are the best ones? What are the weakest ones? Where are they strongest? What ones have they got that are shared? Which ones they've got that are unique? Now, if you've got unique ones, you can go after some of these companies and go, right, okay, let's try and get linked back to us on here. So in this case, there's no reason why there couldn't be a link back to a piece of content on the website that talks about the benefits of folding e-bikes that could be linked up to something on Wikipedia. I'm not going to dig too much into that. I did mention about this particular tool here. This digs into and finds out about the tech stack behind it, so you can see what tech you're using in this case, or what tech your competitor's using. So I'm going to switch this over, and we're going to do this live because, well, to be fair, I ran it yesterday, so it's now in the database. It'll load up, and it will tell you what they're using to run the website. So one of the things we saw was that one site was performing quite poorly on speed and optimization. Well, when you look at the two, one's using Shopify. The one that's performing better is using Shopify. The one that's performing worse is using WooCommerce. Shopify, it's out of the box designed to be used for e-commerce. WordPress as the core, with then e-commerce put on top, needs a lot more optimization to get there. And you can see what they're using. So it just gives you a bit of an indication of what they're running, why they're running it. In this case, they're only running a Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics. Could they be using other tracking? Yes, they could be. They could be running a whole host of different tracking, which opens up things. And if you saw something in there about tracking and thought, oh, wait a minute, so they're going to be doing X, fantastic. You now know that they're running, they might be running an omni-channel campaign using a dedicated platform. If you know that, at least you know how to compete with them on that particular channel. I'm going to close these down. We're going to move on to content. And we'll come back to social in a sec. Come back to social after that. So one of the key things around content is that one, your content, the website is actually being maintained and is up to date, and also that you are publishing useful and purposeful content that actually adds value to people when they look at it. Here we are. Right, Okay, let's bring up that site, and then we'll have to navigate to it manually because I forgot to save it. Right, so in this case, we can see that the competitor has their content strategy. You'll see when we look at social is more around social. On their website, the content strategy is around optimizing the pages, optimizing the products, and actually making sure the product is getting released on a regular basis. They're not producing a significant amount of news, but what they are producing when it comes to news is quality content. So it's timely, it's relevant, and it's informative. We go into a piece, we can see see what it looks like. It looks a little bit more. It's quite simple. It's not overcomplicated, but it's telling a little bit of a story. It's there. It's got the right frame. It's got the right phrases in it to be found for things. So let's say that somebody's looking for cargo e-bikes in Vienna. You're going to find that's going to come up somewhere, or e-bikes in Vienna. They're going to be found somewhere in amongst all of that. If we go to this one, as I was going to say, just one last time, though, content is being produced not consistently, but there is. I mean, if you look back across this year, there is the equivalent. There's 10 pieces of content so far this year. They may have more content that's due to come out this year. We've only got 13 days left of the year, but still, there has been a concerted effort to actually produce content over a period of time this year. And if you look back into previous years, there was plenty. There was a good run of content being produced the year before and the year before that too. Go to over this one. Can't actually see when the content was produced without going into each piece, but there again, there is content being produced on a reasonably regular basis, and actually you can see that there is a structure to it. What's it about, and then does it add value? In this case, there's pieces that add value. It doesn't specifically just talk about them as well, that's a big positive. There are elements where obviously you're going to talk about yourself at some point, but you can see there are elements here that actually it talks about everybody that needs to be talked about and everything that needs to be talked about to raise awareness of them. The gaps with this, though, the gaps are, and how to sort of maximize on those gaps. If they're not producing content on a regular basis, start producing content on a regular basis. If they're not producing content that adds value, make sure that your content adds value. If they're leaving questions unanswered, answer those questions, because people are going to be looking for those answers. Now, I'm going to move on from this briefly. One thing we are going to just quickly show off is a quick check. Now, right now, there is a constant conversation around quality of content, and is it being produced with AI? Is AI content good? Is it bad? Does it affect your digital footprint? There has been no definitive answer yet on whether it's going to affect it or not. Likelihood is it will start being flagged as AI content, and if you're training large language models on AI produced content, you're just going to be regurgitating the same thing over and over again. So no original thought goes in. But when something you can do just to check whether content's being produced by AI is use something like this. Let's go quickly reload it because it does have a little bit of a moment. There we go. And we can paste content in. It'll tell you how many words are in there. So it's actually quite a short blog piece, and we can run the detect on AI. It's come back and said that it's 100% human written. That's great. It's just a quick sanity check to see whether they're actually writing it themselves. There are a number of different tools. I wouldn't recommend using just one when you're doing this. I use multiple. The other thing is, if you're having content written for you, it's no bad thing just to quickly do a sanity check against this. Sometimes content will flag that it's been AI written when it hasn't been. It's just because of the style of somebody's writing. So just bear that in mind as well. Next thing we're going to look at is the social media presence. Now, just a quick last piece on content strategy. The content strategy side of things, there are, especially around quality, there are tools out there that will cover that, and we'll talk about those right at the end. So next up is social. So for the competitor, we're only going to look at the competitor this time. We're just going to bring up their socials. Are they actually weak in an area on social? Is there something that you could be maximizing on? So in this case, they've got YouTube, they've got Facebook, they've got Instagram, and they've got LinkedIn. Oh, so they don't have TikTok, right? So this would be your opportunity. Go to TikTok, build out your presence on TikTok. Are they being particularly present on a particular channel? In this case, they're not publishing on a regular basis on TikTok or on LinkedIn. So maybe that's an area that you could be dominating on. They've got 4 posts in 6 months. So if there's a story to tell, and you can tell it in a way that will work on LinkedIn, tell it. Now we're going to switch over to Instagram. Are they posting on a regular basis? It looks like they're posting timely and relevant content, but let's just dig in. So that was posted yesterday because in the run up to Christmas, they posted something up that was around a particular product. It's very product focused. There's a bit about people here, but what we're seeing here is that they are posting on a regular basis. So there's 5 posts in 7 days. That works for them. We're not going to dig in too much deeper, but if there was a gap here, as in they're posting once a month, once every 2 months, or even worse, they hadn't posted in ages, this could be a channel that could be worth exploiting. We could do the same with Facebook very quickly. Oh, look, here we go. They've been posting regularly, but it's exactly the same content as Instagram. I'm going to go to YouTube. Are they posting regularly on YouTube? They're not posting regularly on YouTube. And it's very instructional, very much instructional videos. But when you look at them, the videos are actually getting a good number of views. So the instructions are useful. Maybe this is something that you're not doing. You're not doing instructional videos on how to use your equipment. If your competitors are and you're not, take that as a hint. You should be, especially if they're getting high volumes of play. Maybe they're getting high volumes of play because their product's really hard to use. And that's not necessarily a good thing. But if you can show off how easy yours is to use, that's going to work in your favor. All right. So that's social. That's a very quick blast through social. Paid advertising is a little bit trickier, and we tend to use tools for that. But what we'll find is, as we saw with the search, you can see who's competing for the phrases that you're trying to be found for. So if I bring that up again, you can see there are the main parts here are retailers trying to get in front of the customer base. If you want your retail network to work, do not compete with them on paid advertising, because all you're going to do is drive up the cost per click for them, which is going to make it a more expensive sale, which means their profit margins are going to ultimately go down. If their profit margins go down, they're less likely to put the effort in behind your product to sell it. So don't compete with what they're looking at. So if you've got 10 phrases you want to be found for and 9 of them are being used by your competitors for paid search, focus on the one that they're not, and then feed into them. Now we're going to look at email marketing. Personally, one of my more favorite topics, because there's so much you can do with it. It has a almost immediate impact as well when the time is right. It's trackable, it's traceable, and depending on what industry you're in, it can move the needle humongously. Anyway, what you want is you want to be able to see their emails. You want to see what your competitors are doing. If you can, when you can see them. So if we go back to the competitor, here we go. So now that we can see what they're doing, can we see whether they're doing any sort of email marketing? Is it obvious? Yes. Look, we've got a newsletter. We can sign up for the newsletter. Now, there are tools to be able to find that. Let's see if I've still got it logged in. This one, Owletter or Owletter. So we signed up to this yesterday. And as you can see here, as soon as we signed up, we got an email. We got an email to confirm that we want to see their marketing emails. It's captured one email already, and we can start with this tool. You can start to see the cadence of when they're sending out emails. If it turns out they're sending out emails every other day, you can start seeing what's in there. If you can see what's in there, you can see what gaps there are in their email marketing. If they're not sending out emails, but they're just collecting email addresses, oh, look, you can see that it's worth putting the time and effort into email marketing because your competition aren't doing it. So once we've got that, we can then go, right, let's look at what they're doing. Because we haven't got any emails from them, we can't see what they're doing, but we can see, oh, look, they sent out a confirmation email. That's it. You can go into it, it'll come up with the HTML version, it'll come up with an image version, and you can actually use it and work with it just like you would with a normal email. Yeah, that will give you the gaps. That will show off what those gaps actually are. The other bonus here is this doesn't go into your inbox. So if it doesn't go into your inbox, it means that your competitors don't know that you're doing it. Now, this is where some of the ethical sides of things come in. Should your competitors be aware of what you're doing? Well, they're probably doing it to you already. And there is no, unless you're doing something underhand, there is no real ethical question here. You're not doing something underhand. You're not trying to hack their systems. You're not trying to game anything. You're just trying to look for weaknesses so that you can benefit from those, because maybe they've forgotten them. Maybe they don't work for them, but maybe they will work for you. Marketing is a lot of trial and error. There is no silver bullet to it. You just have to go for it and hope, and with a plan and a strategy behind it, know that you're going to make something out of it and know when to stop as well. Now we're going to move on from emails. And one of the questions, so move on from emails. One of the questions we get a lot about this though, and we've had a couple of questions on this so far. Can AI do this for me? Well, it can, yes. Have you got full confidence in it? Maybe not. But that will get better and better and better and better. We have run this with AI, and we've actually written some scripts specifically for it. I have a ChatGPT session that built out yesterday. So we'll start from the top. We want to conduct a marketing channel competitor analysis for our company against its top 3 competitors in this industry. For each company, including our company, we want it to provide the following information: company overview, a summary about the company size, executives, and what's the website. Just the web. We ask for the website so that we know that it's gone to the right company for a start, and also it means that we can manually check to make sure that it has picked up the right sort of companies. Now we've gone in and asked it about their marketing capabilities. What their digital marketing efforts look like, what channels are they using, what promotional tactics are obvious, and what notable campaigns have they run. What are the outputs from this? Well, it's found our company, and it's found 3 competitors. Now, it's found 3 competitors, but they are not perfect competitors. They are competing on a digital landscape. So in this case, it's picked out one part of what the company does, which is e-bikes, and it has gone off and gone, right, I'm just going to look at other e-bike companies. We could be more specific. We could say, right, we only want folding e-bike companies in here. Anyway, it's found appropriate ones. You manually check them. They all come up fine, with the exception of this last one, who we already know are in a less of a competitor anyway. But they are still a digital competitor. They might not be a real world one. They're a digital one. We could rerun this process 3, 5, 10 times, and it will come up with different people. So actually rerun it 3, 5, 10 times to see what other gaps there are, to see what the competition looks like. We can see what their marketing capabilities look like. What gaps have they got? So there's no prominent campaigns for us, but actually have the other ones done? Yes, they have. Ride the Future campaign. Right, fantastic. What could we do on that? Buyback guarantees, extended warranties, anti-theft insurance, for trust building. Now, could we offer something similar to this? Anyway, and then we've done a comparative matrix. Where are we looking good? Where are we not? When we look at this, we can see that we're moderate to limited, whereas the competitors are sort of strong to diverse, which is obviously where we want to be. This is only based on publicly available information, though. The next thing we do after this, we do a keyword gap analysis for our company against the competitors. And again, we ask for the company overview, just again to make sure that it's come through with the right information. And then we do the keyword ranking, the top ranking keywords, keyword gaps, and give us a score out of 10. It's an arbitrary score. It's making it up, but it's still there. It's still a score. So now we run that, and it comes up with the company summary again. Fantastic. It comes up with the notable keywords that it should be being found. It should be focusing on. And now we can see what gaps we've got. Are these gaps relevant to us? Well, actually, there are a few in here that are definitely relevant to us. So we should be looking at making sure that these phrases are in our website. However, let's look at the competitors. What keyword gaps have they got? Now we take all of these, we put them into a spreadsheet, and we dedupe them. Once we've got that deduped list, we can then go back and go, right, we can create content around these if it's relevant to us. We can make sure these words are worked into our website so that we can be found for it. We can work these into our content strategy. We can work these into our social strategy. We can work these into the tactics we're rolling out across the company. Anyway, it comes up with a score, and we've also asked it to give some recommendations as well of what to be looking at. I suppose here at this point, I'm just going to switch. So I'm happy to share this script. In fact, I will share this script. I'll send it out to everybody that was on the call today. There are 2 small scripts. There is a longer version of this first one. And when I say longer, it's about 5 pages long in Word. All you've got to do is put your company name into it, put your industry, and tell it how many competitors you want to run it for. Now, if you do this, you need to make sure that you turn on the web search, because otherwise it's based on old data and you want it to be based on current, or as current as it possibly can be. On top of that, you will want to run it one competitor at a time, because the amount of information it's going to produce will max out a chat window. So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to go back to my face. Hey, look, it's my face. Now, with about 2 minutes left, I've got 3 slides to share. So I'm very, very sorry. I'm going to go over by a couple of minutes. And to the stage again. Right. So we've covered website performance. We've covered search engine optimization. We've covered social media presence. We've covered content strategy. We've touched on paid, and we've talked about email marketing. These are some of the tools to consider. Social Sprout is good for social and competitor monitoring. Google Page Speed, which is a page speed tool that we use to check out how the site was performing. SEMrush is good for SEO, competitor monitoring analysis. It also deals with content analysis as well. SimilarWeb, very similar to SEMrush, goes into details on channels and affiliates a bit more than SEMrush does, but they both do a very similar job. They're both very, very good tools. Wappalizer, that's to check the tech stack. It's a paid tool. It is an expensive paid tool. There is a free version. It's free but very limited. But if you're just trying to get a snapshot of what your competitors are up to, that will help you. Owletter, or OWletter, or Owletter. I like the version Owletter because it's a bit more like Harry Potter. That's an email marketing monitoring tool. It's a paid tool, but if you've got a number of competitors that you want to monitor, it's probably worth investing in for a few months. Get a snapshot of what they're up to. 1, you can see their cadence. 2, you can see content. 3, you can start picking it apart, so you can go, right, okay, I know we can do X that's going to be better than them. Then there's generative AI. Using things like ChatGPT and Claude, you can do an initial quick version of this. Finally, back onto us, because, well, we've got to take this opportunity while we've got you. What do? We do strategy, we do awareness campaigns, and we do demand management campaigns. We combine them all together. Everything is underpinned by strategy, and we do that for manufacturing companies that are engineering and technology led, to help them to grow and help them to identify where they are weakest so that they can perform the way they should be. A little bit about us. And if there are no further questions, which there doesn't seem to be, we'll wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I will leave you with the outro slide.